Is this person thinking about you? 3 signs someone can't stop thinking about you. Sometimes the connection between two people does not end even after they stop communicating. In ancient magical records, mystical journals, and esoteric observations, one idea appeared again and again. If a person becomes emotionally attached to someone, their thoughts begin to leave a trace, not a physical trace, an energetic one. For centuries, it was believed that powerful thoughts could create an invisible thread between people. And the more often someone returns to thoughts of you, the stronger the strange signs, feelings, and coincidences become. Today, we will explore 3 signs that, according to ancient mystical traditions, may indicate that someone simply cannot stop thinking about you. And perhaps, while you are watching this video right now, someone is remembering you. Sign number 1. You suddenly begin to feel someone else's emotions. This is one of the oldest signs described in ancient occult texts from Eastern Europe and Asia. People notice something unusual. Sometimes your emotional state changes in a matter of seconds. One moment, everything feels calm, and then suddenly you feel anxiety, sadness, an unexplained warmth, or a strange sensation that someone is somehow nearby. The most mysterious part is that these emotions seem to appear without any obvious cause. In ancient mystical archives, this phenomenon was known as an emotional echo. Mystics believed that when someone focuses intensely on you for a long period of time, their energy begins to find a path toward you, as if their thoughts become a signal traveling across an invisible distance. Some people claimed that they would suddenly wake up in the middle of the night with a powerful feeling that someone was present. Others described experiencing overwhelming sadness at the exact moment another person was going through intense emotional pain. Of course, modern people may call this coincidence, but what makes it fascinating is that similar stories have appeared in different cultures for hundreds of years. People who had never met each other often described nearly identical experiences. Mystics believed this effect became especially strong after emotionally meaningful relationships. Because, according to them, a connection between two people does not disappear immediately. It lingers, sometimes for months, sometimes for years, and sometimes a person may never contact you again. They may never send a message. They may never call. They may never appear in your life. Yet they continue thinking about you again and again, and this is when strange emotional fluctuations begin to appear. Many esoteric traditions suggested that this energy becomes strongest during the evening and nighttime hours, when the mind relaxes, when logic becomes quieter, when the barriers of ordinary perception begin to weaken. Perhaps that is why so many people report experiencing these feelings shortly before falling asleep, as if someone is remembering them in the darkness. Some mystics even believe that emotions can travel farther than words, that before a person reaches out physically, their energy reaches out first. And if that belief is true, then those sudden emotional shifts may be more than random mood changes. They may be whispers from an invisible connection that still exists between two people, a connection that neither time nor distance has completely erased. Sign number 2, the person begins to appear in your reality. This is perhaps one of the most mysterious signs of all. At first, it seems insignificant, a coincidence, something your mind simply notices and then forgets. But over time, the pattern becomes harder to ignore. You begin seeing the person's name everywhere. You overhear it in conversations between strangers. You see it in comments, articles, movies, or social media posts. Songs that remind you of them suddenly begin playing everywhere you go. Old photographs unexpectedly appear in your phone gallery. Memories you haven't thought about in years suddenly return to the surface. And the strange part is that these moments often happen in clusters, one coincidence after another, as if reality itself is trying to draw your attention toward someone. Ancient mystical schools believe that focused thought has power, not only over the person who is thinking, but also over the person being thought about. According to these traditions, intense emotional energy can subtly influence perception and experience. The more frequently someone directs their thoughts toward you, the more often their presence begins to echo through your reality. Ancient manuscripts sometimes referred to this phenomenon as the echo of attention. The idea was simple. When a person's mind repeatedly returns to someone, traces of that attention begin to ripple outward, like circles spreading across the surface of water. Eventually, those ripples reach the other person, and they begin noticing unusual signs, a familiar name, a familiar face, a familiar place, a familiar memory, again and again. Of course, psychology offers its own explanation. The human brain naturally notices things that already have emotional importance. When someone occupies our thoughts, we become more aware of anything connected to them. And there is certainly truth in that. But mystics believed there was something more. They believed that human beings are connected through invisible energetic pathways. And sometimes those pathways become active, especially when emotions are involved, especially when feelings remain unresolved, especially when two people once shared a meaningful bond. Many fascinating stories have been told about this phenomenon. People describe suddenly thinking about someone they have not spoken to for years. The thought seems random, unexpected, almost out of place. Then, only days later, that person sends a message, makes a phone call, or unexpectedly appears in their life once again. Others describe running into someone repeatedly in situations where such encounters seem nearly impossible. A chance meeting at a cafe, an unexpected encounter on a distant trip, a random mention of their name from someone who should have no connection to them. Mystics rarely considered these events to be mere accidents. They believed that attention creates movement, and movement creates response. Ancient observers often said, when a person's energy remains focused on you for a long time, reality begins to answer. Whether that answer comes through coincidence, through intuition, or through something we do not yet fully understand. The experience can feel strangely meaningful, as if an invisible thread is gently pulling two lives toward one another. Perhaps that is why these signs feel different from ordinary coincidences. There is often a feeling attached to them, a feeling that something important is happening beneath the surface, a feeling that someone somewhere is thinking about you, and that their thoughts are somehow finding a way to reach you, not through words, not through messages, but through the mysterious language of signs and synchronicities. Sign number 3. You see this person in your dreams, or they suddenly appear in your thoughts. Dreams have always been considered a special realm. Almost every ancient culture believed that the boundary between people becomes thinner during the night. Why? Because when we sleep, the conscious mind releases control. Logic becomes quiet. The outside world fades away, and something deeper begins to emerge. This is why many mystical traditions consider dreams to be one of the strongest channels of energetic connection, especially when a person appears unexpectedly. Not because you spent the day looking at their photos, not because someone mentioned their name, not because you were intentionally thinking about them, but because they simply appear, as if they entered your dream on their own. Many people describe remarkably similar experiences. They wake up and continue feeling the emotions of the dream for several minutes, sometimes even for hours. The experience feels unusually vivid, almost real, as though a genuine meeting had taken place, as though the dream was not merely a dream. Ancient occult texts referred to this phenomenon as the touch of memory. Mystics believed that when someone thinks intensely about you, their energy can sometimes manifest through dreams, especially during periods of longing, attachment, love, regret, or unfinished emotional connections. According to these beliefs, strong emotions create strong energetic impressions, and those impressions may become visible during sleep. When the conscious mind is no longer standing guard. Some people report dreaming about someone they have not thought about in years. Then suddenly, days later, that person reappears in real life. Others describe recurring dreams involving the same individual, the same places, the same conversations, the same emotions, again and again. Ancient mystics saw this as evidence that certain connections remain active long after physical contact ends. But dreams are not the only way this sign can appear. Sometimes it happens during the day, without warning, without explanation. You are focused on your normal routine, working, driving, reading, cooking, living an ordinary moment, and then suddenly, a thought of someone enters your mind, not gradually, not logically, almost as if it arrives from somewhere outside yourself. Their face appears, their voice, a memory, a feeling, and for a brief moment they become impossible to ignore. Mystics often said, "Not every thought belongs entirely to you." Of course, this idea cannot be proven, but it has fascinated people for centuries. Many traditions believe that human thoughts are far more connected than we realize, that beneath the visible world exists an invisible network of emotional and energetic connections, and that sometimes, under the right circumstances, we become aware of those connections, even if only for a moment. Perhaps that is why people throughout history have continued to believe in unseen bonds between souls, bonds that cannot be measured, cannot be photographed, cannot be fully explained, yet somehow can still be felt. Conclusion. Of course, no one can prove with complete certainty that these signs truly mean someone is thinking about you. There is no scientific instrument that can measure such a connection, no test that can provide a definite answer. And yet, something remains fascinating. People have been telling stories like these for hundreds of years. Generations come and go. Civilizations change. Technology evolves. The world transforms. But the stories remain. People still experience strange coincidences. People still think of someone unexpectedly. People still dream about individuals they cannot seem to forget. People still feel emotions that appear to come from nowhere. Perhaps it is simply the subconscious mind at work. Perhaps it is psychology. Perhaps it is memory. Or perhaps there is something more. Perhaps certain people truly leave an energetic imprint on our lives, a trace that remains long after the conversation ends, long after the relationship changes, long after distance separates two paths. And when someone continues to think about you, maybe in some mysterious way, you begin to feel it, even across great distances, even in silence, even when no words are exchanged. The ancient mystics believed that invisible connections never completely disappear. They simply grow quieter, waiting for the right moment to be noticed again. But what do you think? Have you ever suddenly felt someone's presence before they unexpectedly appeared in your life once more? Let me know in the comments below.